This is like my 27th or 28th CPAC. I've been here through the times when it was what we used to refer to the crowd being age 60 to death. And now through the hard work of Ron Robinson, and Ron and I've had our disagreements when we were in YAF back in the 60s, 70s and 80s together. But through the hard work of Ron Robinson and other people, this conference has grown tremendously by the intentional bringing in of high school and college students by the thousands. And it's mainly through the work of Ron Robinson, but there were other people involved that this has happened. I understand we have something like 10,000 people here today. Thank God. Because one of the things that I have seen so many people in our movement forget to do is bring in people behind them. We always have to understand that we are mortal, that we're going to die. And if we don't bring up and teach the young people, and I'm 59 years old, so a young person to me is in their 30s. So what do I know? What we know, given the benefit of our experience, that we've not really done what we're supposed to be doing. We're doing it for us, not for the movement. And I'm here for the cause, not for my organization or me. Now I want to talk about a few things, and you start waving at me when you want me to shut up.
I got you on the clock.
Okay. Your Bible study for today is Ezekiel 33, 1 through 6. That's not a joke. For those of you who are not really into the Bible that much, that's a part called the Watchman on the Wall. And what it says, and this is what I live my life according to, especially my professional life, but also my personal life. That passage says that if you see the enemy coming and you warn the people inside the wall, this is when they're rebuilding Jerusalem, and the people do nothing, then their blood is upon their heads. But if you see the enemy coming and you don't warn the people inside the wall, their blood is upon your heads. If you take anything from this, take that. And also take the idea that you should not believe anything I say. That's not because I'm going to lie to you. That's because you should always check things out yourself. The reason why the birth certificate issue is so controversial is that a lot of really smart people have acted really stupid around it. Okay? We can disagree reasonably over the birth certificate issue. But don't tell me that I'm a nut. Don't tell me that I'm a fringe. Don't tell me I'm weird. I know all those things. I am a nut, I'm fringe, I'm weird. And there's another troublemaker in the audience that I want to introduce, and he and I disagree on a lot of things. He's a liberal Democrat. He's a Clinton Democrat, but he is the first one. By the way, how many of you know that it was Democrats who brought the first challenges on eligibility? It wasn't Republicans. It wasn't conservatives. It was liberal Democrats. That is factually provable, because here's the liberal Democrat that brought it. Phil, stand up for a minute. This is Phil Berg. Now, Phil will be glad to answer any questions you have after the end of this. But it was liberal Democrats. In fact, I've spoken on a number of times on a conference call to a group of Clinton Democrats who are still involved in this. They have their own conference group, okay? The fact that it's mostly conservatives that are involved in it now just has to do with the fact that we wonder who the heck this guy really is. It's another issue. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit, and when we get to questions, I'll answer any questions you want about the eligibility case. I don't know how many of you saw, I'm not saying it's true, but according to the Washington Post, one of our panelists didn't want to be on the panel today because I was on the panel and he didn't want to be associated with that issue. I'm not saying it's true, but there's a big article, like 5-6 inches long, in the Washington Post today saying that.
Guantanamo. Do you feel that they should try them in Guantanamo to send a strong message to other terrorists, or do you feel that as human beings, they're afforded the rights that were written down in our Constitution?
They're not entitled to constitutional rights. Okay, they are foreign soldiers wanting to kill us. They are not entitled to constitutional rights. I mean,
no.
Andrew may disagree.
No, I think it goes beyond that. I think there's a practical matter as well, which is the fact that wherever you would have this sort of trial, and you can have let's assume for a moment we wanted to have a civil trial, and I'm not entirely certain that's what we want for a whole host of reasons. From a practical matter, having it on anywhere on U.S. soil makes wherever that is an immediate terrorist target. So New York City, White Plains, New York, Washington, D.C., or wherever, a huge honking expense for the American people to try it here.
$1 billion for security alone for New York is what they're estimating. Do we really want to spend $1 billion? Try them in Gitmo, try them before a military tribunal, kick their ass.
Do you feel that would set a precedent for greater oppression in denying other people?
I don't, something. I think history is replete with examples of how our enemies don't give us any sort of quarter in terms of.
And think of Nuremberg.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Nuremberg. That sets an international precedent for trying war criminals. These guys are war criminals. One of the guys, this guy, he masterminded the World Trade Center. I don't care. They're not American citizens. They don't have our constitutional rights, and I'll argue that with anybody. To heck with it.
We're going to have to move on to the next question because we got limited amount of time.
Real quick, Gary, the Constitution doesn't create rights. The Constitution recognizes rights that we are born with by God. And God doesn't care whether we were born in the United States or Mexico or Saudi Arabia or any place. So if God created us with the rights, then He created them with the rights too. And for you to recommend there to be these random papers checkpoints reminiscent of Nazi Germany in Escondido, California, or anywhere is downright oppressive.
That's your right to say that, sir. But if people are breaking the law, we are a law-abiding country. And if it's, let me finish. Let me ask.
Let's maintain a semblance of
Okay.
rationality.
You just made a very wrong and incorrect statement. We either are a nation of laws or we're not. If it is your position that we should have no laws, that we should legalize drugs, that we shouldn't worry about driver's licenses, that we should allow people to kill people for the fun of it and not enforce laws unless we feel like it, then that's fine. Go to another country where they allow that. But we are a nation of laws, and we as citizens have a right to have our laws enforced.
And the beauty of what Andrew's saying, which completely contradicts what you're saying, is there's this proliferation of laws. No one knows all the laws. If you wanted to read all the laws that Congress passed just this year, it would take you months and months. And that's assuming you can understand the legalese that these politicians and bureaucrats write it in. We're being oppressed by our government, and recommending ID checks and paper checks like the Nazis in Escondido is not the way to fix it.
All right. Thank you very much. Next question.